Reborn. I am no longer obsessed with having a soldier husband. When I returned to life in the 20th century, I decided to put my sister's name on the marriage application. This time, I will make Paul happy. In this life, I was the one who gave my sister her wedding dress, the one who put the engagement ring on her finger. I was the one who facilitated each of their meetings. He took my sister to Beijing, and I, without a second thought, went to Shanghai to study, because in my past life, I was already over 50, and he and my son were still begging me to divorce, just to allow him and my sister to fulfill their final destiny together, reborn into this world. I only want to soar high and no longer worry about love. Chapter 1. Just fill it out and give it to me. Paul impatiently tapped the desk. I stared at the marriage application, my fingertips lightly brushing the rough edge of the paper, my thoughts wandering aimlessly. In my past life, I had filled out my name on this form as if it were a sacred decree, and then, with great excitement, dragged Paul to buy wedding candy. But instead of gratitude, I was met with a scolding, all because he was eager to return and cook brown sugar water for Camila, who was on her period. I half-heartedly responded, I know. I glanced up at his impatient expression and the hand that kept checking the time. Today, he was wearing a white shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing his well-defined forearms. I remembered that Camila loved this look on him, saying it made him appear clean and fresh. You go ahead if you're busy. I forced the bitterness down and tried to sound casual. I'll submit it once I'm done. He seemed relieved, his tone softening a bit. Don't worry, since we're getting married, I'll take responsibility for you, he said. But you shouldn't be jealous of Camila anymore. If others find out, it'll be bad for her reputation. I fell silent. In my previous life, I explained this countless times, but to him, I was always the jealous, petty sister who couldn't accept her weak, kind-hearted younger sister. He didn't say anything more and hurriedly left. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the chaos in my heart, but my mind couldn't stop replaying the events of my past life. On our wedding night, he made up an excuse about taking care of his sick sister and didn't come home that night. When he traveled with the army, he only took Camila, saying she hadn't been to Beijing yet. Even on the day our son was born, Paul didn't have time to come. He was too busy comforting a divorced Camila, and just before his death, our son was still pleading with me in my ear, Mom, just divorce Dad. You're nothing compared to Aunt Camila. Dad has suffered so much staying with you all these years. Let him go. I looked at my indifferent husband by the bedside, silent. It was this dead silence that confirmed his thoughts. I bit my lip hard, and only when I tasted the blood did I slowly loosen my grip. No, this time, I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. I picked up the pen and slowly wrote one name in the applicant field, Camila. Paul, since you love her so much, then have it your way. I handed the completed application form to the staff, took the marriage certificate, and walked out of the civil affairs office. I wasn't sad. In fact, there was an indescribable sense of liberation. Chapter 2. In my previous life, after our parents passed away due to work, Camila and I were adopted by the Liu family. Camila was sweet-talking and good with words, so the Liu family treated her even better than their own daughter. Liu's mother had long been scheming to marry Camila off to Paul, but Camila, with a simple "I don't want to fight with my sister," made Paul willingly marry me. In reality, she just wanted to keep Paul dangling. After all, at that time, Paul was only a company commander, and she was waiting for something better. I went to the school, asked about the necessary preparations for university, and inquired about living expenses and other issues before heading back home with peace of mind. When I returned to Paul's family quarters, I had just entered the door when I heard Camila's playful voice. Paul, if you come back to be with me instead of your sister, will she get upset? It's fine. I can visit her anytime, but every time you come, you always get so close to her. I'm worried about you being alone at home. Camila smiled happily, then feigned a sad expression and said, After you and my sister get married, will you still be good to me? Of course, Paul said firmly. Who else would I be good to if not you? If your sister treats you badly, I'll divorce her. I clenched my fists so tightly that I almost lost control of my emotions. So, Even after living a second life, hearing my husband speak so coldly to me still hurt. I composed myself, suppressing the ache in my chest, and walked into the room as if nothing was wrong. Paul came out of Camilla's room, a hint of awkwardness on his face. I just saw that Camilla wasn't feeling well, so I went in to check on her. I gave a faint and turned to leave for my room. In my previous life, I'd fought with him countless times over his ambiguous behavior with them. This time, I didn't want to waste time or energy on it. He stopped me. Rita, how about we buy some wedding candies and distribute them to the wives in the staff quarters? I looked at him in surprise. Then I thought, he must be trying to make it up to me by doing something because I wasn't causing a scene. No need. There's no point in these formalities. He was stunned for a moment, probably unable to imagine that I would actually turn down the suggestion. Is it because you're upset that Paul is taking care of me? Camilla walked out of the room, looking wronged and innocent. She was wearing the linen suit that I had specifically bought for our wedding photos. It was the most popular outfit in the 1950s. I had saved up for half a year to buy it in my previous life, but never dared to wear it. Seeing my gaze, Camilla quickly explained, I saw this outfit on your bed today, and I liked it, so I wanted to try it on. I forgot to take it off. She lowered her head, twirling her fingers, looking like a child who had done something wrong. Paul instinctively spoke. Rita, don't. I interrupted him, my tone calm. It looks good on you, so you can keep it. I never wore it anyway. I could still smell the faint traces of blood and sweat on the linen suit, and the memory of running home crying in the middle of the night came flooding back. Even now, it felt disgusting. In the surprised gazes of both of them, I returned to my room and locked the door. I took out my folder, inside which was my acceptance letter, South City University. I had always liked the South, especially since the finance major there was exactly what I wanted. In my previous life, I had given up my studies for Paul, content to stay home and serve my in-laws. This time, I was lucky to have the chance to live for myself. I looked at the calendar. There were only 10 days left until I could leave this place. Time was tight, but I had to make the most of every moment to prepare. A knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. Annoyed, I opened it. Paul stood there with a bowl of noodles, his tone gentle. You must be hungry. I made you some noodles. For a moment, I felt a strange sense of nostalgia. In my past life, he was either cold and distant or harsh with his words. This warm, affectionate Paul was someone I hadn't seen in a long time. No thanks. I ate outside. Impossible, he said. You've always been too stingy to spend money. His words stung. I used to be stingy, saving every penny, spending most of my part-time earnings on him, buying him things. But now, as I was about to go to university, I had many more expenses to think about, and every penny had to be carefully considered. I looked up at him, my tone calm. I remember a few days ago, I gave you 50 yuan to buy wedding supplies. It seems you didn't buy anything. Please return it to me. Chapter 3. He froze for a moment, then awkwardly explained. That money, I used it to buy Camilla some little leather shoes. I couldn't help but sneer. It was so meaningless. Always the same thing. Well, never mind. I'm going to bed, I said, closing the door behind me. I'll give you the money tomorrow, he added, a hint of irritation in his voice. We're married. Do you really need to be so calculating? I couldn't help but snort. So, it's okay for you to spend my hard-earned money on someone else, and I'm not even allowed to be upset about it? He knew he was in the wrong but still muttered under his breath. Unreasonable. I couldn't be bothered to argue any longer and slammed the door shut. The next few days, I sold off some of the worthless belongings around the house, those keepsakes from my previous life. Full of memories. Looking at them now, they were just cheap junk. I packed them all up and sold them to a scrap collector for a little money. In the afternoon, I continued packing my things when Paul appeared in front of me, holding 50 yuan in his hand. He spoke stiffly. Here's your money. I took the money and nodded. Thank you. He looked at me with a complicated expression, his gaze drifting to the suitcase I was packing. I planned to have Camilla go with me to Beijing with the army first. You don't need to keep packing, I didn't stop packing and nodded. He seemed a little uneasy with my attitude, unsure of how to handle it. "What's wrong with you lately? You're like a different person." I turned my head in impatience, not wanting to get into it. Although Paul didn't love me, if he found out that Camilla's name was on the marriage application, he might just renew our marriage for her sake. I had no intention of getting involved with that pair of scoundrels again. "It's nothing. I just want to pack my things," I said. "When you go to Beijing, I'll move back to the countryside." He let out a relieved sigh and explained, "It's not that I'm not letting you go with me. It's just that Camilla has never been to Beijing, and she wants to see it. I'll come get you in a few months." I nodded absent-mindedly. In my past life, he never came to get me for 8 years. It wasn't until Camilla married a division commander that he finally took me to Beijing out of frustration. He seemed unaccustomed to me now, since I usually chattered on whenever we were alone. Now, I barely spoke, and he grew restless. "You've always wanted to take wedding photos, right? Let's go to the photo studio tomorrow." That wouldn't work. Tomorrow, I planned to go buy supplies for university. Just as I was thinking of an excuse, Camilla walked in, snuggling up to Paul's arm. "Paul, what photo studio? I want to take photos too." Paul smiled and ruffled Camilla's hair. "All right, let's go tomorrow. You two go ahead. I have something to do tomorrow," I said. Paul furrowed his brow. What could be more important than taking wedding photos? "Go ahead and take the photos. I'll go with you to buy things afterward." His tone was firm, as if it left no room for refusal. Camilla pouted. "Are you not going because of me?" I didn't want to argue any further, so I nodded in agreement to go. Early the next morning, I heard Paul in Camilla's room, coaxing her to get up. The bright red numbers on the calendar reminded me that there were only 4 days left. In 4 days, I would finally be free of this life. When I was on the verge of impatience, they slowly emerged from the room. Paul, ever so considerate, had prepared hot water and was personally washing Camilla's face. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind in my previous life, thinking that if I married him, he would treat me the same way. I was lost in thought when Paul awkwardly walked over to me, holding a ring in his hand. "The neighbors said it's trendy to wear wedding rings now. I bought one for you." I didn't take it. In my past life, there was no ring like this. As soon as Camilla saw it, she immediately pouted. "It's so pretty. I want one too," I generously offered. "You can have it." Paul's face immediately darkened. "Stop joking. This is our wedding ring." Camilla snatched the ring from him and slid it onto her finger, waving it in front of Paul. "Paul, does it look good on me?" Paul looked at Camilla, his eyes full of affection, and smiled foolishly, nodding his head. Then, he turned to me, a little guilty, and whispered, "I'll buy you one next time." I nodded indifferently. I had heard his promises many times before, but none of them were ever kept. Chapter 4. At the photo studio, Camilla took the first set of photos, including several couple shots. When it was my turn with Paul, the photographer raised his camera, only to awkwardly lower it. "Sorry, the film is used up," he said. I inwardly rejoiced, but kept a neutral expression. "Oh, that's fine," I replied. After we left the studio, Paul pulled a train ticket from his pocket and handed it to me. It was for a seat to Beijing, scheduled 4 days from now. "I didn't mean to leave you behind," he said. "I'll go ahead to settle in, and I'll be waiting for you in Beijing." It takes 3 days and nights to get to Beijing from here, and I couldn't understand how he thought I'd manage. Moreover, there was only one slot for a military spouse. Where would he have me stay? But asking now wouldn't yield a satisfying answer. When I accepted the ticket, Paul visibly relaxed. "Don't worry. Even if you don't stay in the military compound, you're still my only wife," he said. "I'll treat you well. I just consider Camilla as a sister." I softened a bit at his words. How long had it been since I heard him speak so gently? Suddenly, a truck came around the corner, speeding straight toward us. Paul pulled Camilla into his arms and dodged the vehicle. In the confusion, I was pushed. I froze in place, unable to move. As the car came barreling toward me, the vehicle swerved at the last second, hitting me and dragging me along. Pain surged through me, and I felt dizzy, cold sweat beading on my forehead. The driver hurriedly jumped out of the car, stammering, "Miss, are you okay?" A crowd gathered around, pointing and murmuring. My gaze cut through the onlookers, fixing on Paul. He was comforting Camila, completely unaware of what had just happened to me. Or perhaps he noticed and just didn't care. I smiled bitterly, and the last shred of hesitation in my heart disappeared. So this was what he meant by "I'll treat you well in the future." The driver took me to the hospital. After a series of checks, I learned I had only superficial wounds and some minor internal displacement. Lying in the hospital bed, my body ached, but my mind was strangely calm. Late into the night, Paul entered with a fatigued expression. When he saw that I was awake, he looked flustered for a moment. "Rita, how are you feeling? Is it better?" I gave him a cold look but said nothing. He rubbed his hands together, looking uneasy, and started explaining. Camila was a bit too scared, and I was with her the whole time. So, under my gaze, he awkwardly fell silent. "Rita, listen to me." The situation was urgent. Camila was closer to me, so I instinctively. He paused, seemingly trying to find the right words. "I didn't know you were going to get hit." I interrupted him. "When are you going to Beijing?" He hesitated. "Tomorrow." "All right, I need to rest. You can go now." I closed my eyes, signaling that I wanted to be left alone. Paul seemed like he wanted to say more, but ultimately left. Sensing my discomfort, the next day, Lou's mother came. She brought a thermos and wore a big smile. "Rita, Paul asked me to come take care of you. How are you feeling now?" "Much better. Thank you, Mom." As she served me soup, she chattered on. "Paul, that boy, he's so careless. I wonder if he'll be able to take care of Camila properly." She stopped midway as if suddenly realizing something and awkwardly fell silent. "Mom, actually, it's Camila who married Paul." Lou's mother froze. After a long pause, she finally reacted. "What? What did you say?" I submitted Camila's name on the marriage application. Lou's mother was first stunned, then her face lit up with joy. "Rita, you're such a good child. I knew you were the most sensible." She excitedly grasped my hand. "Rita, thank you. Thank you for making this possible for them." I smiled faintly, but said nothing. Chapter 5. Helping you? No, it was helping myself. She was always inclined toward Camila, even in the past life. No matter how hard I tried to serve her, in her old age, she still left all her inheritance to Camila. "Mom, don't tell Paul or Camila about this yet." Lou's mother grinned from ear to ear. All right. Mom understands." "Then, what are your plans for the future?" "In a few days, I'll be leaving." I didn't disclose my specific destination. Lou's mother wanted to ask more, her mind full of their marriage issues. I closed my eyes, pretending to fall asleep. The day I was discharged from the hospital, I didn't notify anyone. Before I left, I wrote a letter to Paul. "Paul, by the time you read this letter, I will already be on a train heading south. I know you've always liked Camila, and I'm letting you two be together. Our fate is over. I wish you both happiness." I sealed the letter, along with the Beijing train ticket and our marriage certificate, and sent them to Beijing. I dragged my suitcase to the train station. The air in the southern city was moist and warm, and as I stood in front of the Shanghai campus, I felt a bit dazed. Walking through the campus, I felt as though I had been reborn. During the day, I sat in class, diligently listening and absorbing knowledge. At night, I worked at a small restaurant, serving dishes, washing dishes, and aching all over from exhaustion. But this fatigue made me feel grounded. A month later, I had gradually adapted to this busy but fulfilling life. Then, one day, I saw Paul downstairs at the dormitory. "Rita, why did you do this? Why did you put Camila's name on the marriage application? Why didn't you go to Beijing?" His tone was filled with anger and confusion. I looked at him coldly. "I don't want to live with someone else's husband in my heart. It's disgusting. Unbearable." He stared at me in disbelief. "How can you say such things? You weren't like this before." I turned my face away, my stomach churning. nausea rolling over me. I didn't want to look at him, not for a second. Paul, I just want to focus on my studies and start a new life. Camila is the one you've always wanted, right? You two should cherish each other. Please don't disturb me anymore. He angrily ran his hands through his hair. What nonsense are you talking about? I've always treated Camila like a sister. I sneered. What kind of siblings hug each other and steal kisses? I had once caught him kissing a sleeping Camila, that tender expression on his face. I would never forget. His face flashed with shame, but then he grew furious. Rita, stop spouting nonsense. Me and Camila are completely innocent. The sibling love you talk about is disgusting to me. Let me go, and let yourself go too. His face turned a dark shade, but he didn't know what to say. I remembered when I first arrived at the Liu family as a child. The fear of being dependent on others, making me afraid to even eat my fill. On nights when hunger overwhelmed me, I would secretly sneak out to eat leaves from the garden. And Paul saw me. He shared his snacks with me and comforted me. Rita, don't be afraid. I'll protect you from now on. That warmth back then made me fall for him, step by step. So, in my past life, even though Paul didn't love me at first, I was willing to marry him. In the following days, Paul still lingered around the school. I deliberately avoided him, not wanting to have any more dealings with him, but I didn't expect that he would go to the principal and demand my expulsion. When I was called into the principal's office, Paul was sitting stiffly. I was furious. Paul, what do you think you're doing? Why are you asking for my expulsion? I want you to come back with me. He stood up and walked toward me, reaching out to take my hand. I quickly stepped back, avoiding his touch. Go back and continue watching you and Camila all over each other? His expression froze, and then he angrily retorted. Rita, don't be ridiculous. We're still married. How is it right for you to run off to the south and stay away from me like this? I almost couldn't hold back my laughter at his shamelessness. Paul, your wife is Camila. The marriage certificate has her name on it. And the person you're thinking of is also her. His face darkened, gritting his teeth. That was a mistake. Mistakes should be corrected. My past behavior made you misunderstand. I won't act like that anymore. My heart sank. These familiar lines. He had said them in my previous life too. And what happened? He immediately went back to being all sweet with Camila. I turned to the principal and spoke earnestly. Principal, I really want to continue studying here. Please don't expel me. The principal looked at me, then at Paul, and after a brief pause, he said, Mr. Liu, since you have no relationship with Rita, you are not authorized to handle her expulsion. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Paul wanted to say something, but the principal interrupted. Mr. Liu, if there's nothing else, please leave. I have work to do. Chapter 6. In the following days, Paul continued to haunt me. I was exhausted from his constant pursuit, and my studies were being affected. What made things even more troublesome was that Camila had also arrived. Paul, please, let's go back and get a divorce. I don't want this. I don't want to steal my sister's husband. I'm a bad person. She tugged at Paul's sleeve, crying in fits. Paul, with a heart full of sympathy, pulled her into his arms and gently patted her back. Camila, don't cry. It's not your fault. We'll go back right away. It's my fault for making you suffer. Camila, looking pitiful, pretended to kneel down. Sister, I'm sorry. Please don't be angry with Paul. I know it was a misunderstanding between Paul and me. Don't kneel. It's my fault for making you suffer. We'll go back now. As she said this, she shot me a glare, her eyes accusing me of being unreasonable. A crowd of students had gathered around, whispering and pointing fingers. I couldn't be bothered to watch this drama anymore, so I turned and left. If they wanted to put on a show, let them. I had no intention of playing along. Camila certainly had some influence. Paul didn't come back that day. I threw myself into my studies and joined the school's math club, where I met Sam. He was tall and thin, wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, and he had a sunny smile. He was very good at math and often helped guide me. So over time, we became more familiar, just when I thought my life was finally on track. Paul's letters started arriving. one after another, persistent as ever. Rita, are you still angry with me? I know I was wrong. Come back. Rita, Camila is pregnant. The child is mine. I know it's hard for you to accept, but please believe me. You're the only one in my heart. Rita, there should be a limit to your anger. What do I need to do for you to forgive me? I tore his letters into pieces and threw them in the trash. I didn't know what made him think I would change my mind. Maybe he just had thick skin. The smell of oil and smoke filled the air at the part-time restaurant as I quickly cleaned the tables. I looked up and saw Sam sitting in the corner. He smiled at me. I quickly averted my gaze and continued working. After my shift ended, he was still sitting there, with several untouched dishes in front of him. Come eat with me. He gestured to the seat across from him. I've already eaten. I tried to decline, but my stomach betrayed me with a loud growl. He chuckled softly. Don't be shy. Come sit down. Unable to resist his hospitality, I sat down across from him. A clay pot filled with hot soup bubbled away, and the warmth drove the chill from my body. I dug in, completely ignoring my image. Slow down. No one's going to steal your food. Halfway through eating, I suddenly felt an itch at the tip of my nose. When I looked up, I saw Sam smiling at me, holding a grain of rice in his hand. Do you want to eat my face too? He teased. I blushed, quickly lowering my head. I knew he liked me. His eyes made it very clear. But right now, all I wanted to do was focus on my studies. Everything else could wait. The winter holidays arrived, and Lou's mother called me one after another, urging me to come home for the new year. After all, they had raised me, and I couldn't be too heartless. After much thought, I bought a ticket and, carrying a bag full of gifts, returned to East City. As soon as I entered the Liu family's gate, I heard a sharp voice yelling, "Paul, what's going on? I'm telling you, I'm pregnant with your child. I'm not here to be mistreated." I froze in place, only to see Camila, her large belly swollen, shouting at Paul. Paul's face turned pale, but he didn't dare to argue. He could only appease her in a low voice. Camila, calm down. The doctor said you can't get too emotional. It's bad for the baby. I want that coat. Go buy it for me right now. Camila, I'll get it for you next time, okay? This month's allowance is all gone. Paul carefully helped Camila sit down. You're useless. Still just a lieutenant colonel. You're not even giving the money to your sister? Paul's expression darkened. Camila, stop talking nonsense. I've already cut ties with her. Cut ties? Do you think I'm stupid? You write to her every now and then. Do you think I don't know? You don't have me in your heart at all. All you think about is her. Chapter 7. Camila cried and screamed, pounding her fists against Paul's chest. Paul, looking impatient, said, I told you. I didn't do anything. I stood at the door, watching the scene before me, feeling nothing but absurdity and laughter. In my past life, he hid his contact with Camila from me. In this life, he was hiding his letters to me from Camila. In the end, he was just someone who wanted to have it both ways. Never truly loyal. Lou's mother was the first to notice me. Rita, you're back. Come help talk to Camila. Her temper's getting worse. She grabbed my hand, her tone somewhat ingratiating. I pulled my hand back and said indifferently, I'm tired. I'll go rest in my room first. Lou's mother froze for a moment, but didn't say anything further. She turned and continued to coax Camila in a low voice. She was so different from the domineering woman I remembered. Back in my room, I dug out the New Year's gift Sam had given me from my luggage, a red cashmere scarf. I wrapped the scarf around my neck and glanced at myself in the mirror, a smile tugging at my lips without my noticing. That evening, I heard a knock on the door. I opened it to find Paul standing outside, looking haggard and uneasy. Rita, can we talk? I stepped aside to let him in. He rubbed his hands together, gathering courage as he said, Rita, the wife I've always wanted is you. I've been waiting for you. Camila's temper's getting worse, and she's spending money recklessly. I couldn't help but scoff. Waiting for me? Paul, do you even believe your own words? You've been waiting for me while letting Camila get pregnant with your child. What exactly do you think I am? His face flushed red. his eyes full of panic. Rita, let me explain. I interrupted him. There's nothing to explain. You and Camila already have a child. What else is there to say? I wish you both a happy life and an early arrival of your child. He remained silent for a few seconds, as though recalling something. I've been having dreams lately. Dreams where the woman I marry is you. You're gentle and virtuous, always taking care of my parents back in the old house. He paused, his tone tinged with pain. But in the dream, my heart belongs to Camila. I neglected you, hurt you. I'm such a jerk. And then my son and I were pressuring you to divorce. I was shocked. He actually dreamed of our past lives. He covered his face in distress. I'm sorry for how I treated you then. I want to make it up to you. Suppressing my fury, I spoke coldly. If you really want to make up for it, then go live your life with Camila. Stop coming to bother me. It'll be better for both of us sisters. His gaze dimmed, and there was a trace of reluctance in his voice. But I still feel like you should be my wife. My patience finally ran out, and I firmly said, Paul, it's time for you to go. These aren't the words you should be saying, nor the place you should be. He stood up despondently and walked out of my room with heavy steps. I watched his retreating back, feeling no emotions stirring inside me. In both lives, he had always wavered between two women, greedily wanting to have it all. The next morning, I packed my things and knocked on Lou's mother's door. I handed her a bank card, saying calmly, "Thank you for taking care of me all these years. This card contains the money I've saved over the years. Consider it my way of repaying your kindness in raising me." Lou's mother froze for a moment, trying to refuse. "Rita, this really isn't necessary. Take it," I said, lifting my luggage. "I've got some things to handle at school, so I'm leaving now." Without looking back, I walked out of the Lou family home, feeling no attachment. At the ticket window, the line was long, and when it was finally my turn, there were no more tickets to the South City. When I checked, the next available ticket wouldn't be until the day after tomorrow. Frustrated, I ran my fingers through my hair. Where could I go now? I couldn't sleep on the streets, could I? Just as I was at a loss, Sam appeared in front of me, carrying bags. "Rita!" His face lit up with a surprised smile as he quickly walked over. I was a bit surprised too, smiling as I greeted him. "Sam, what a coincidence. Are you from East City too?" "Yes," he replied. "And you? Do you have nowhere to go?" His tone was filled with concern. "Then how about you come spend the new year at my place?" I froze for a moment, quickly waving my hands. "I couldn't possibly." He smiled and said, "What's the big deal? It's just me and my grandmother at home. It's pretty quiet. You'll liven things up a bit. Plus, I can't leave you alone during the new year. I'd be worried." He paused and then added, "Please, Rita, think of it as keeping my lonely grandmother company. She's all alone at home, and it's so boring for her." He put on a pitiful expression, making me unable to hold back a laugh. Unable to refuse his hospitality, I finally agreed. Chapter 8. As soon as I stepped out of the station, a cold breeze hit me, and I instinctively pulled my coat tighter around myself. Seeing this, Sam immediately took off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. A faint woody fragrance lingered in the air, filling my senses. "Cold, isn't it? East City is much colder than South City," he said. I shook my head, though a warm feeling surged in my heart. Sam's home was in the old district of S City, a quaint two-story house full of character. As soon as we entered the yard, the smell of delicious dumplings filled the air. An elderly woman with silver hair stood at the kitchen door, smiling as she looked at us. "Sam, you're back. And this is..." Her gaze fell on me, and she smiled brightly. Well, looks like you've brought home a beautiful lady this year." I couldn't help but lower my head, a slight blush coloring my cheeks. "Grandma, this is Rita, my friend," Sam introduced with a smile. Good. Come in and warm up." Grandma Sam was busy cooking dumplings, while Sam helped carry my luggage to the guest room. The guest room wasn't big, but it was clean and tidy. The bedding had the comforting smell of sunshine. "You rest for a while. The dumplings will be ready soon," Sam said gently as he set down the suitcase. I nodded and sat on the edge of the bed, gazing out at the falling snow. A sense of peace and tranquility, like never before, filled my heart. Perhaps this was what it felt like to be at home. That evening, we sat around the dining table, enjoying the steaming dumplings. Grandma Sam kept serving me more food. "Rita, you should come here often. You're always welcome at my place," she said warmly. I smiled and nodded, my heart full of warmth. After dinner, Sam suggested we take a walk in the nearby park. The park was nearly empty in the winter, with only a few couples nestled together, enjoying the rare peace. We walked slowly along the lake, neither of us speaking. The snow gently fell, covering us like a thin veil. "Thank you, Sam." I broke the silence and spoke softly. "Thank me for what?" "Thank you for taking me in, for giving me a warm place to stay." Sam looked at me and teasingly said, "Then, how about you show your gratitude by becoming my girlfriend?" I froze for a moment, then playfully snorted. "Dream on." Though I said that, a slight ripple stirred in my heart. "Then tell me, how should you repay me? After all, I'm the hero who rescued you from the troubled waters at the station," he said in an exaggerated tone. I couldn't help but laugh at his dramatic words and feigned seriousness. "A hero? I think you're trying to extort me," I said, pretending to scold him. He pretended to think for a moment and then, with great seriousness, said, "Let me think. How about you cook for me every day until school starts?" I couldn't help but roll my eyes. "You wish. My cooking is nothing special." He smiled and looked at me with twinkling eyes. "No worries. I'm not picky. And even if your cooking's bad, I'll eat it all," he added. His cheeky attitude made me laugh in spite of myself. "Is this how you show gratitude? It looks more like you're trying to take advantage of me." "Aw, looks like my charm isn't enough." He sighed dramatically, then suddenly leaned in closer. "Then maybe I should try harder?" I felt my cheeks flush and quickly stepped back. "Why you don't get any ideas?" Seeing me fluster, he couldn't help but laugh. "Just kidding," he said, reaching out to gently ruffle my hair. "Let's go back. Grandma must be worried." Back at Sam's house, Grandma Sam had already prepared hot ginger soup, saying it would help drive away the cold. I held the ginger soup in my hands, savoring the warmth, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope for the future. Maybe, letting go of the past and starting over wasn't such a bad thing. On New Year's Eve, the sky outside was lit up with brilliant fireworks, illuminating the entire night. The deafening sound of firecrackers echoed in the air. I stood by the window, and for a moment, I felt as if I were in a different world. "Happy New Year, Rita." He was standing very close to me, and his warm breath brushed against my ear, sending a tingling sensation through me. I turned around and met his deep gaze. In that instant, time seemed to freeze, and my heart skipped a beat. "Happy New Year, Sam," I whispered back. He leaned in closer, his voice soft as he said, "I like you, Rita." Outside, the fireworks continued to explode in the sky, their dazzling colors reflected on my face and on Sam's.